In the aftermath of Ash's loss to Whitney, he and his friends return to the Pokemon Center to regroup. Though this is not the boy's first experience with defeat, to have his entire team swept by Miltank has taken a heavy toll on his self-esteem. Laying a comforting hand on his shoulders, Domino tries to reassure Ash that something like this could happen to anyone. While being more practically minded, Bugsy says that he'll help his old friend train for the rematch, or if he wants, they could leave Goldenrod for a while and come back after he's gotten a few more gym battles under his belt. However, in this moment Ash doesn't want to hear it, thanking his friends, but saying he just wants to take a walk to clear his head. Leaving the center with Voltorb by his side, Ash steps out into the city's encroaching twilight. Though with a place like Goldenrod, night is not the end, but a new beginning, as a bustling nightlife springs up all around the boy and his partner. Exploring this with Voltorb helps soothe the hurt of his loss, with the pair enjoying a delicious dinner at the Goldenrod Galleria, and even picking up a compilation of DJ Mary's best segments. However, not everything can be so delightful, as on the way back to their friends, something piques Voltorb's interest, with the ball bristling and glaring down an alleyway. Worriedly, Ash asks his starter what's wrong, though it is another voice who answers, as he steps from the gloom, Tetsuya. Leaping between the Marauder and Voltorb, Ash fiercely declares that he won't let him take his Pokemon, but with a chuckle, Tetsuya replies that he's not here for that. He heard the kid suffered a bad loss, and so has come to offer his assistance. Scowling suspiciously, Ash asks why Tetsuya would do that, but still chuckling, the bearded man answers that he's been doing some thinking, and he's realized it's not Ash's fault he's the way he is, it's Kurt's. That old windbag filled his head with all the same nonsense he did to him when he was his apprentice, so now he wants to help the boy deprogram, and see the world as it really is now that Kurt's out of the picture. He then lazily tosses something to Ash, who instinctively catches it, only to realize it is a dark ball. Eyeing the orb with disgust, Ash says he doesn't want this, or Tetsuya's so-called help. But the Iron Mask Marauder grins at him to keep it anyway, since while he may not want it now, when he sees the truth, he'll understand its value. Think about it. If his Pokemon were in Dark Balls instead of those outdated Apricorn Balls, they would have had more than enough power to beat Whitney and any other gym leader that stood in his way. While this is probably true, Ash has seen the blank eyes of Tetsuya's Pokemon, and doesn't want that for his buddies, telling the man as much. Pursing his lips, Tetsuya scowls that Ash still thinks Pokemon are friends, but that's another thing he's wrong about. They're tools. Team Rocket has taught him that. The mention of that name confirms Ash's hunch from earlier, and with a scowl of his own, he accuses Tetsuya of working with some really bad people. But laughing, Tetsuya shrugs that bad's just a matter of perspective, and he'll understand that when he joins them. He then steps forward again, reaching out a hand as if to grab Ash and take him somewhere, but being quick on his feet, Ash jerks away and runs with Voltorb on his heels. In an attempt to lose Tetsuya, they cut through alleys and side streets, changing course at random, though always heading in the general direction of the Pokemon Center and their friends. However, being in a distracted state, he fails to take in his surroundings, resulting in him barreling headfirst into another pedestrian. Assuming it's Tetsuya or another group of Team Rocket thugs ambushing him, Ash tells Voltorb to run, though before the Sphere Pokemon can get very far, a comforting man's voice tells the pair to calm down. He then helps Ash back to his feet, asking if he's alright and strangely addressing him by name. Being a fan of Goldenrod Radio, Ash recognizes this voice as Professor Oak, supposedly an old friend of his grandpa's, though he's never met the man himself, which makes it so odd that he knows his name, and so giving the professor a searching look, he asks how Oak knows who he is. This question seems to surprise the old man, though after a moment of thought and a wistful chuckle, he answers that he met the boy many years ago, though based on his reaction, he mustn't remember. Figuring Oak must be talking about when he was a baby or something, Ash pays this no further mind, instead inquiring what he's doing out here, though the professor easily waves this off by explaining he was just coming back from a production meeting at the radio tower and wanted to avoid the foot traffic by taking a more secluded route to the Pokemon Center. Nodding, Ash says he's headed that way too, causing the old man to suggest they go the rest of the way together, a prospect Ash is happy to accept. A short while later, Ash, Oak and Voltorb arrive back at the center, with Bugsy and Domino rushing to meet them. Still a bit shaken, Ash attempts to tell his friends about his run-in with Tetsuya, though this is interrupted when Domino spots Professor Oak. Being an aspiring Pokemon watcher, Domino bombards the sandy-haired man with questions, ranging from requests to review a sketchbook to tips on what angle to best observe Pokemon from. Though, to his credit, Oak answers each of these with a good-natured smile, expressing delight that such a passionate young woman wants to go into the watcher trade, saying that he actually got his start as one before studying to be a professor. This just earns him another round of questions, as Domino implores him to tell her all about it, rapt excitement on her face. A little put off by the sheer intensity of her admiration, the professor suggests that perhaps he can another time, though as for right now, he's rather tired and should be heading up to bed. However, he would like to make a request of Ash, that before he heads back to Kanto in the morning, that the boy give him a battle, as he would like to see how he's been raising his Pokemon. Grinning, Ash says it would be his pleasure, and so the pair agree to meet out behind the Pokemon Center after breakfast tomorrow. The sun shines brightly overhead the next morning as Ash and Professor Oak square off for a battle. To keep things simple, the two trainers have agreed to limit themselves to just one Pokemon each, with Ash choosing Voltorb, while Oak brings out an elderly Charizard. Upon seeing who its opponent is, Charizard gives a surprised growl, though when it turns to look at its trainer, the man merely chuckles and nods. The battle then begins with Ash going on the attack, by having Voltorb use Thunder Shock. While this is a super effective move, it is far too weak to actually do serious damage to Charizard, who retaliates with a headbutt, which sends the ball rolling backwards. When he rights himself, Voltorb is literally fuming, with steam puffing out of the hole in his head as he glowers at Charizard, clearly upset that Thunder Shock was just as ineffective against it as it was against Whitney's Miltank. Seeing this, Charizard lazily beckons the Grass Electric type to try again, though unfortunately for Voltorb, the second attempt fares no better than the first. To make matters worse, when Charizard next strikes, it is with a wing attack that sends Voltorb high into the air. Another Sphere Pokemon tries to counter with Tackle. This is barely more than a boo-boo to Charizard, who swats the Electric type back to the ground with its tail, inadvertently ending the match. Roaring self-consciously, Charizard gives its trainer an apologetic look, evidently having not intended to end things so quickly, but patting the old dragon's snout, Oak says it's fine, approaching the downed Voltorb and offering him some medicine to help him get back into fighting shape. He then thanks Ash for indulging him, before writing something in a notebook and handing it to the boy. Curiously, Ash asks what this is, but with a smile, the man answers that it's instructions on how to upgrade Voltorb's Thunder Shock into Thunderbolt, since he believes the battle could have gone very differently had the Electric type been able to use his power to the fullest. Nodding, Ash thanks the professor, who then proceeds to bid goodbye to Bugsy, Domino, and all their Pokemon. As he does so, he makes sure to give an extra attentive goodbye to Ash's egg, having been fascinated by the sight of it. Then with one last smile and a wave, Oak is gone. The rest of the day is devoted to training, with Ash and Voltorb following the instructions in Oak's note. As it turns out, the key to upgrading an electric move is primarily in getting the Pokemon used to producing higher quantities and voltages of electricity. In theory, this should be easy, with it just being a matter of practice, though with Voltorb it's a little more complicated, as the Sphere Pokemon does not have the same sort of internal battery as his modern day counterparts, meaning Ash and his partner have to improvise a little. Thankfully, here they have Bugsy and Domino, with their friends both providing a skill Ash himself lacks. For Bugsy it's experience, as he has been a trainer longer than his childhood friend, and as a gym leader, he has needed to work on developing his Pokemon's moves and abilities, meaning he can give Ash guidance on how to adapt the plan to fit Voltorb's individual nature. Meanwhile, Domino, as an aspiring Pokemon watcher, uses her keen eye and knowledge of Voltorb as a species to suggest that perhaps instead of generating chemical energy, like a regular electric battery, why not capitalize on Voltorb's style of movement, which produces a lot of kinetic energy from rolling. Taking the advice of his friends, Ash draws on what he has learned from his battles with Bugsy and Tetsuya by having Voltorb turn his momentum into power, having him roll around at top speeds until he feels as though his power is maxed out, at which point he fires his attack. By doing this, Voltorb is able to build up incredible force, though this comes at a cost, that being each attack has to be charged rather than just being readily available like Thunder Shock was. Reassuringly, Bugsy tells Ash that with time Voltorb will get used to generating this power on his own, and won't need to charge it by rolling, but for now, this trick will at least allow them to juice up their attacks when they need it. Smiling, Ash thanks his friends, continuing to train with his starter until late into the evening. The next morning, Ash along with his friends return to Whitney's gym, eager for a rematch, and upon seeing him, the pink-haired girl invites her young challenger back into her sparsely decorated battlefield. This time Whitney decides to skip the preamble, opening with Miltank, and seeing no point in holding back either, Ash goes straight to Voltorb. After all of yesterday's hard work, the ball is all fired up, puffing steam from his head hole in a gesture of eagerness. Seeing this, Whitney grins that it looks like they will have an impressive battle, as she readies a command, though this time Ash is faster, having Voltorb use Tackle, since this will not only land a hit, but be the start of their strategy to take Miltank down. Hurtling forward, the little electric type strikes true, colliding with the Milk Cow Pokemon's rotund udder-clad belly. Though this does very little actual damage, it is a good start, with Ash telling Voltorb to repeat the process. Adopting an amused expression, Whitney asks if Ash really thinks using normal type moves against Johto's premier normal type specialist is wise, but with a grin, the boy answers that he has a strategy. Planting her hands on her hips and shooting him a grin of her own, Whitney laughs that so does she, having Miltank use Defense Curl to cut the damage of that tackle even further, so that when Voltorb goes bouncing off the pink Pokemon, Miltank looks as though it didn't feel a thing. Whitney then asks Ash if he knows the secret connection between Defense Curl and Miltank's rollout, with the young son of Azalea laughingly admitting that as a matter of fact he doesn't. Still grinning, the gym leader informs Ash that when used directly after a Defense Curl, rollout's power is doubled, and he remembers how strong it was before. Panicking, Ash warns Voltorb to watch out, but it's already too late, as Miltank has begun spinning. Knowing that head-on clashes are now too dangerous, Ash and Voltorb revert to plan B for how to build up kinetic energy. Run away. Taking off at top speed, Voltorb does all he can to avoid the rolling nightmare that pursues him, having gained a modicum of speed just from all the kinetic energy training he and Ash did yesterday. Unfortunately, the margin that had previously separated him and Miltank is more than a modicum, meaning the Milk Cow is able to gain on Voltorb, eventually catching him and barreling into the ball with terrifying force. However, while last time this was enough to send Voltorb skyward, now things are different, as instead of clashing head-on, Voltorb and Miltank are moving in the same direction. This results in the normal type actually pushing Voltorb faster than he was going before, a surprise to Ash, but a welcome one, as he instructs his partner to use this to keep charging. Whitney isn't sure what the boy means by charging, though she is smart enough to know it's probably not anything good for her, and so as Miltank detach from Voltorb and come around for another pass from a different side. Knowing its understanding, the Milk Cow Pokemon tries this, though being an adaptive pair, Ash simply has Voltorb change direction so the Miltank's follow-up does keep pushing it forward, even if the Spunky Sphere does wince a little at this more powerful impact. Thinking this is how they win, Whitney has Miltank do this again, but by now Voltorb has gathered more than enough kinetic energy, and so when he gives his trainer the signal, Ash has Voltorb dodge to the side, then unleash the full force of his Thunderbolt. Thanks to Miltank's speed, this is a close call, but the electric grass type does manage to narrowly avoid the incoming cow, and as he passes alongside the normal type, Whitney recognizes what Ash is trying to do. Unfortunately for her, it is already too late, as while the momentum of its rolls does give Miltank protection from the front, its flanks are exposed, and this is exactly where Ash directs the Thunderbolt, with electricity lancing through the metaphorical chink in Miltank's armor and causing it to shriek in pain. This time it is the cow who is sent flying, and as Miltank spasms in the air, the excess electricity arcs out to shatter the gym's lights, causing Ash to gulp that maybe they went a little overboard with charging. However, for better or worse, this tactic is effective, as with a heavy thump, Miltank soon hits the ground, and there is no question of whether it is still able to battle or not. Whitney says nothing as she recalls her Pokemon, though strangely enough, she doesn't bring out another. After a moment of awkward silence, Ash asks why this is, though to his surprise, the gym leader's response is to glower at him and sniffle that he's a big meanie, before running off in a huff. The sound of the gym doors banging open signifies that Whitney has left the building. Though still bewildered by the sudden change of tune, Ash yells after the girl, asking where she's going. Sagely, Bugsy suggests that it looks like Whitney isn't the sort of person who takes defeat well, though Domino frowns that this is hardly fair, since after the trouncing she put Ash through the other day, she can't just run off when things don't go her way. Looking troubled, Ash sighs that she really looked sad just now, and so declares that he's gonna go find her, with Bugsy and Domino both stating they'll help look too. Splitting up, the trio scour the city, though despite their best efforts, none of them have seen hide nor hair of her when they meet up back outside the gym an hour later. Still feeling remorseful for having upset the girl, Ash asks his friends if they think Whitney is hiding from them, but with a shake of her head, Domino replies that if she was Whitney, she wouldn't have gone into hiding. Instead, after something upsetting like that, she'd have gone somewhere to make herself feel better. At once, Ash and Bugsy's eyes both light up, as in unison they declare, "The radio tower." Good to the boys' hunches, Whitney is indeed seated outside the radio tower when the group arrive, though when she sees Ash, she rudely asks what he wants. Stepping forward, Ash prepares to talk with the normal specialist, but shaking his head, Bugsy suggests that he should handle this one, gym leader to gym leader, especially since if Ash starts talking now, Whitney might just run away again. Seeing the logic in this, Ash allows Bugsy to approach the girl in his stead, with him taking a seat beside Whitney and kindly asking her what's wrong. This tenderness causes Whitney to grow sheepish, as she admits that she's sorry for running off like that. It's just that she hasn't been a gym leader long, and this is the first time her Miltank's lost, so when she saw her partner faint, she overreacted. Nodding, Bugsy acknowledges that he knows the feeling, being a relatively new gym leader as well, though part of the job is accepting defeat when it comes. Sighing deeply, Whitney agrees, apologizing first to Bugsy and then to Ash. However, the black-haired boy tells her not to sweat it, eagerly asking if she'd like to head back and finish their battle now. Laughing at his one-track mind, Whitney replies that there wouldn't really be any point. Miltank's her strongest Pokemon, so if he can beat it, he can beat her whole team. She then presents him with a plain badge, urging him to go beat every other gym so she doesn't look weak. A promise the boy is happy to make, taking the badge and pinning it to his vest. Following this, Ash and Co return to the Goldenrod Pokemon Center one last time, so that Voltorb can get treated for the damage he took in his match with Miltank. As they wait for the electric type to heal, they return to the cafeteria so they can plan their next move. As the expert on gyms, Ash defers to Bugsy, asking which gym he should challenge next. Though with a laugh, the boy answers that there are actually two gyms which both happen to be roughly equal distance from here. The Violet City Gym, which specializes in flying types, and the Ekritique Gym, whose leader uses ghost both types, so ultimately, the choice is up to Ash on who he would rather battle first. Pausing for a second, Ash seems to think deeply on this decision. Then, as a broad grin splits his lips, he says he knows exactly who he wants to challenge first. And that's where we'll leave things. Which gym will Ash choose to challenge next as he and his friends continue their Johto journey? What is the true motive behind Tetsuya's sudden interest in helping the boy? And can he and Voltorb truly master their new Thunderbolt move? Find out as the journey continues.